We have a Christmas special for you guys today, joined by always by my man DJ Eliot. And we got a special guest, DJ,
We do, man. I'm excited about it.
my man Jake Crain, the host of the Jboy Show. We go back. Jake, how we doing today, brother?
Man, I'm doing great. Appreciate you having me on, and a little super bad vibes coming in on the intro music there, man. I
You
mean,
like
that's a
that?
pretty good vibe. I do.
I was going for like a Sanford and Sons, vibe going in, but apparently they would sue me if I stole that. So I had to go something
Yeah,
close to saying, all that stuff. So
yeah.
give a
Yeah.
little body, we got a lot of the same listeners, but we got some different listeners, and we'll tell Jake and I's background. So Jake and I coached together at South Alabama right when I got there, and Jake was the special teams coordinator when I was there, and so got a lot of respect for him and his coaching knowledge through special teams, and I got to coach special teams with him, so that was a lot of fun. But Jake, I have to start this thing. Do you remember? I got to tell the fans this. This is something I should have probably told on your show, talking about stories. But
Mhm.
Jake DJ was involved in one of the funniest things that's ever happened to me in my coaching career. The first within an hour of me getting to South Alabama. So we get to South Alabama. I get there on a Friday, okay, and I know I'm going recruiting on Monday, and so I say, Jake, how you doing? Good to see you. Awesome. And he's like, yeah. He's like, he was doing something, and he was going to come back down there and holler at me. I go in my office. I'd ask the equipment guy if I could get some shirts to go recruiting in on Sunday. And so he brings this bag in there to me, and Jake's in there talking to me. And Jake probably doesn't remember this, but I open up the bag, and I had like 27 shirts in there, but every one of them was used. And and one of them was a white. I don't know if Jake remembers this. I pick
No,
up
I
the
remember.
first shirt and I look at it, and Jake's just meeting me for the first time. He's
Mhm.
sitting in a chair right in front of my desk. I pick it up. There was a tobacco stain going down the center of the shirt, and he goes, "No, dog, that one ain't gonna work." Do you remember this, Jake? Jake, do you remember this?
I remember that 100%, man. I remember
Yeah.
that
So
100%.
So he's like, "Yeah, no,
Yeah.
dog, it's not gonna work." And then so I then started picking up others. I had pit stains on some of them. I was like, "What are
No,
we
dude,
doing?"
that's 100% how it was. Like a
And then
hundred
Jake
percent how it was.
and Jake gave me a little bit. DJ Jake gave me some advice. He goes, "Just go talk to Joey, and that Joey Jones, our head coach. He'll take care
Yeah.
of it." So I went to go talk to Joey, and he actually he sent us to it's me and like Richard Owens, who's the offensive line coach at UAB, and somebody else was there, and they sent us to the bookstore so we could go
Yeah.
get some gear to go recruiting. So
That's
That's big time. That's when you're coaching big
microcosm.
time football,
Yeah,
right?
they call that a microcosm.
yeah, yeah,
Yes.
just whatever, it was good to go. But
That's
hey, Jake, I
Mhm.
want to talk to you. I know and a lot of the fans know your past, but I was kind of curious to just kind of ask some stuff I didn't know. When did you or how did you decide to start the podcast originally that's turned into the show it is today?
Man, I mean, it's a crazy story for real. So December 2019, I was coaching up in Montana. We had came back because of Christmas break. And that was, kind of they were talking about coronavirus, and some of the smaller schools were obviously had to be kind of more aware and more proactive, I guess you would say, because they didn't have as many resources. And I was supposed to fly back up there, and it got pushed back a couple weeks. And this is going into halfway through January of 2020. And so, I was trying to kill some time, and I had this $50 mic from Sweetwater, and didn't have my school laptop down there with me. I left it up there, but had this Acer laptop, and I was like, may just record a couple podcasts just to do something, because recruiting, you're always doing it, whatever. But I had more time than what I was used to, so I did a couple episodes. Man, the first one I did, kind of ironically, I was talking about a basketball recruit who was related to a kid that I had coached in junior college. So I kind of had some information. I was talking about where he's going to go, whatever, and did a couple of those and got some pretty good response. But you got to understand, and you know this, Coach. I mean, I'm not the most technologically, advanced guy in the world. Like, it takes a lot. Like, I mean, me being able to figure out how to work the Roku TV and YouTube TV and Netflix all in one, that's a huge accomplishment for me. And me being able to get the mic, put it into a laptop of some sort, and somehow Steve Jobs my way to be able to get it on Apple Podcasts and Spotify was like my Thomas Edison light bulb moment
There you
technologically.
go.
So that's where I'm coming from. So to me, good views wise was like Joe Rogan. It's like coaching in football. You compare yourself to the best. Like if I'm coaching, I want to compare myself to Saban and Belichick and all these guys, whatever. So I'm like 800,000 views. So I'm looking at these views, and it's in the thousands. I'm like, I guess that's good. I'm getting a lot of love on social media, and then we get pushed back another 2 weeks, like 3 days after that. So people are like, I want you to do more and more. So long story short, it ends up like I'm getting up to like 50,000 views. And then to me, I think that's good, but I don't know how good it is. And the response on social media is getting more and more. And you can call it divine intervention, luck, whatever. I literally I was flying back. So this is like in March of 2020. I was supposed to fly back up to Montana. I was in Tupelo. So I drive to the Memphis airport. I'm sitting in the parking deck with my brother. And I just looked at him and was like, man, I want to try and do this. Like, I just want to see. Like, I'm young enough now where if I do it for a year or two and it doesn't work, I'm still young enough. I don't have a family yet, whatever. I might as well try it. And so I did. And, man, for lack of a better term, it just took off. And it kind of started shaping itself. Like, I had no shape of it. It was just me sitting down and talking in 30, 40-minute increments about different things. I didn't have, like, a schedule of this day. But when I decided to do it full time, that's when I was like, I got to structure this thing. And it's just been crazy. And we had over 2 million downloads last month and on pace to do even better than that this month. So I don't know. I just show up to work and talk about football. It's wild.
There you go. What about, and just curious, because, I didn't know until, man, I mean, you were well into it. You were probably 5 months into it before. I think Joey Jones may have told me you were doing a podcast or something until I started listening. So I was late to the party. But when did Blaine and Cone start, on the podcast with you?
Man, well, when we moved up to Atlanta, when I kind of met the investors and the people that started with the LLC with me, it was just me doing interviews. So it wasn't Blaine or Cone. Cone was helping with the production. Cone was literally setting up the cameras. We had a really cool set in Buckhead in Atlanta, and he was kind of the production guy. But I mean, we'd always have such good conversations, and we would never really prep, but me and him would just have great football conversations. He's from Statesboro, played for Buzz Busby, quarterback at Michigan, great guy, knows the difference. And when we signed with the volume, it's what's crazy, man. I just go off instinct. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm going off like my gut, what I think. So when Cowherd reached out to us in the volume, we just did it. I was like, well, we just made up our minds. I was like, Blaine and Cone, you're going to get on here. I knew it was going to be hilarious with my brother on there because that's how we talk when we're off the air. But with Cone, I mean, it's been great. So we didn't start doing that till like 4 months ago. But a lot of people don't realize that. And we didn't really tell anybody. Even the people that had kind of worked with us throughout the start didn't realize it till that first show aired live. And they were like, we love it. Like, we just didn't know y'all were going to do it. It was wild.
Yeah. I love Blaine and Cone when they come in on the wagers. Blaine, I've told you off the air, privately, but Blaine's wagers, like when he'll go and he'll take a team like minus of 1/2 point in the second quarter between minutes 7 and 4, and they hit. Like, I don't even know where he must go to that.
I got Ball State minus 2.5 for the third quarter. I'm like, what? Like, what? Then I'll be watching. I'll be like, I'll be damn, man. Like, you really did it again.
I think he goes to that casino from like Vegas Vacation. I think that's where he gets the
Giorgio.
That's where he gets his.
Guess the number. I have the number behind my head.
That's the casino that does those bets.
Wrong, man. You got it wrong.
You got it wrong. All right, we're going to jump in. I wanted to introduce everybody that doesn't listen to Jake and Jake Show to Jake, and as a very special holiday edition associate we got going here today. But let's talk a little bit about signing day. We're doing a special. We're going to tape a little bit early, but signing day was this past week, and a lot of talk about the transfer portal and roster management. And so the first thing I want to say is, and I told Raquel this about 15 minutes ago. This blew my mind. I saw today. This is how much signing day has changed. Okay, out of the 130 FBS teams out there. Okay, I looked it up out of just curiosity. Out of the 130 FBS teams, how many teams do y'all think actually signed more than 20 players yesterday?
Wow.
How many would you guess, DJ? There's 130. Now, used to, for the fans that don't know, signing more than 20.
Everybody would average at least 20.
Everybody would average 20. Most would go 22, 25. How many of y'all think did? yesterday?
I think 30.
What do you think, Jake?
17.
20. 20 schools. That's 15%
Okay.
of the FBS. Okay. Now, knowing obviously running recruiting and understanding how numbers work, I'm working off a number of 32.
Yeah.
And if
that's
I've
what we
only
thought.
signed that, you know what that means is about to happen. Okay. We think the portal's crazy now. It's fixing to get crazier. They're saving all these spots for portal guys. Okay. And really, really was impressed with how, like, you look at like USC, they signed 6 players.
I
Okay. So
saw
that
that.
means it's fixing to be
I
portal
saw
nuts,
that.
right?
I know. I saw that.
So that's something to be interesting in. But here's something I wanted to read. Okay. And I thought this was very interesting. Something we've been saying for months. Okay. Jake, I've even heard you say it on your show, but maybe it's now taking traction because Dave Doran says it. Okay. Dave Doran, the head coach, says it. So this is quote that he got asked in his press conference yesterday on the NCAA going back to 85 scholarships following COVID. Okay. And these are the issues for the fans so they understand what the issues are with roster management. He says, I think the NCAA has completely failed us as coaches with our roster management. I'm sure they thought it was a great idea during COVID to award everybody on the roster an extra year. And I can see why that happened. Personally, I feel like the model we had last year that allowed our super seniors to not count in our 85 was the right model. To say that it's a 1 year deal, but you awarded it to 5 years worth of players is not a good situation to be in as a football coach. You're recruiting fewer players, which means the future of our program is not the way you want it. Okay, and then I'm going to finish the rest of it, but I want to read this next sentence. Okay, you can't develop the guys the way you normally do with a 20 or 25 guys a year, which hurts the high schools, which we've said over and over again. The number of high schools that I went into where players just don't have anywhere to go because of this rule, it's sad. Quote, end quote. And we've been saying it for I don't know how long, Jake. I know you and I have talked about it. Jake, what's your take on the portal and the rules and the roster management the way it is right now?
Well, look, I agree 100% with what Dave Doran's saying. It's funny you award that extra year to everybody to try and be even, but you hurt the youngest kids the most, the ones in the high schools. So the biggest one of the other bigger problems I see is that it's already going to be tougher now that everybody gets an extra year while still keeping the limit the same, at 85, because the math just doesn't add up, which means more people are going to be in the transfer portal, which is going to make it even crazier, which I don't think it's even close to as crazy as it's going to get. But it's going to have to auto-correct itself again on the back end. So
Right.
whatever comes up must go down. So you really hurt two different sets of classes almost 10 years apart. So really the youngest of the young, which would be, I don't know, 5-6 years old right now, it's going to auto-correct again. And you're going to either see a surplus in areas that it's going to cause another backlog. I just don't know how you fix it without letting it just fix itself, I guess. Like if a meteor hits the earth, you just got to let the earth heal itself, I guess. But I agree 100% with what he said. Now, with the transfer portal in general, I don't have a problem with guys being able to leave and have a free year if it's outside of the conference.
I
I
heard you
don't
say that
like
the
the
other day.
inter-conference transfer rule. I just think, to me, it's different if you're saying, all right, I need, because again, remember, we used to argue about waivers, right? This kid's mom's sick, he gets a waiver. This kid's dad's sick, he doesn't. We say it doesn't make sense. Everybody, there was no criteria for it. So you laid out a criteria. Everybody gets a 1-year free transfer to anywhere ever. So it's just blanket across. And once you open Pandora's box, you can't close it again. But
Right.
my thing is, if you're gonna not only be able, Eli Ricks just transferred from LSU to Bama
He won't be the
without
last
having
one.
to sit out. To me, within the conference, you should have to sit a year. Outside of the conference, that's fine. You get that free rule. The tampering part of it is what I worry about. And somebody at some point, we talked about this today, some group of kids is gonna get smart. And they're going to say, you know what? LeBron did it. They just said, screw it. Let's just get all the great players and go somewhere together. And there's a lot of coaches out there, especially ones that would be on the per se hot seat, that would say, you know what, guys? Come on in. And guess what? That's the reason we signed 6 players out of high school.
Exactly.
We want the
Oh, yeah.
Globetrotters.
Yeah.
Exactly.
DJ, and
Uh,
you and I have talked about it. We talked about it before, and the problem is when you're going and just so the fans make sure they understand what we're talking about here. Okay, there were a lot of teams that had 105 guys on scholarship this year. Okay, well now this next year they're having to go all the way back down to 85, but they've also awarded all those other years, right? And so there's no way.
mhm.
Basically, every player, if you were 80, you're going to have to like cut players to get to 85 if you're
And it's
signing
called
Right.
anybody.
inflation.
Yeah,
That's what it's
yeah,
called.
we're good at that right now in this
Yeah,
country.
we're on fire with
We're
that.
on fire with
Right.
inflation. But DJ, what do you think is the best solution when it comes to? I mean, do we say, okay, do we just award every senior class on top of 85 and for 5 years? Is that what we got to do to make this right?
I think that the best solution would have extra scholarships like we had this year. And that's the same reason why you were talking about only 20 teams signing um, more than 20 kids. It's not just the transfer portal. It's also because how many of those 85 scholarships are being awarded to guys that are already on the team. Oklahoma State this year, for example, they had 6 kids starting on their defense this year that were COVID 5th-year seniors.
So
6
6
kids.
years.
Yes.
So there
there
were
were
6
6
years
years.
of eligibility, right?
Yes, exactly. And that was a big part of their success. And I talked to somebody down there and they said they're going to have 8 next year. Okay. So that means where are their scholarships going? Their scholarships aren't going to high school kids and they're not going to transfer portal kids. They're going to COVID players because the 85 is still the number. I think there should have been some type of trickle down. It's kind of like weaning the guy off the nicotine habit. You know what I'm saying? You're simply,
Yeah.
you're unlimited super seniors this year. Next year, we're going to give you 95 or 100. The next year, we're going to give you, 90, whatever. There should have been some type of trickle down effect because what's happened is there are basically more classes that were thrown into the scholarship count that weren't there. There's like
Correct.
extra classes in there now. You think about it.
Correct.
It's
The
like
whole
they
extra
added a
class.
class. It's like you
Yeah.
got the 2020 class and you got the 2020 and a half class, right? That are all in that 85 scholarship count. And it's taken away. I'll tell you, it's taken away more than high school kids. Nobody is signing junior college players. I mean, nobody is signing junior college players, right?
Well,
And so,
oh, go ahead, DJ. Sorry.
so I just think that they should have done some type of trickle down effect.
Go ahead, Jake.
Man, I was just gonna say, has there ever been a better time to be a walk on? Like, has there ever been a better time to be a walk on? You're like, hey, wait a minute, we got what, 105, and then all of a sudden it goes straight down to 85. But the thing I don't understand is why would you make and I guess this is the whole crux of the argument. Why would you only make the scholarship extension basically a 1-year deal and award 5 times, really 4 times the amount of people that it would affect, like, are going to overinfect it, I guess. Like, to me, who came up with that math?
Right. So
Who was
this is the problem.
I feel like they're in a meeting and they were like, anybody got an idea? And it's like, they're like, Rick. And he's like, I got a great idea.
Look, to the 6 people that are listening to this show, to the 6 people that are going to listen to this show, okay, I want to make sure I'm volunteering myself. I have nothing. I got time. Okay, I'm running my own company now. I got time. I would love to be involved. Just one person inside that room that has any idea of what's going on in football. Like the people that are, here's the answer to your question, Jake, is the people that are making these decisions, okay, and making these quote unquote rules, they can't see this far in front of their face. They're like, oh, this is a great idea. Let's do this. But they don't think what that decision, the effect of that decision is going to cause because they don't know. And I'm sure they're nice people and I'm sure they mean well. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm not
those
saying
people should
that.
be fired.
But if you don't know, you don't know. And so I get frustrated beyond belief because I sat down 3 years ago, 6 months before the portal even started with them. And I explained the exact issues that are going to happen with this portal if you make people immediately eligible, which I said, if you're going to do it, great, but you have to do it this way. And they're like, oh, well, I don't know about that. Let's do it this way. That's the problem. There's nobody in the room that knows what they're talking about. That's the problem.
What's gonna happen. the 85 number is going to be pushed up.
Yeah, they're going to keep bumping it. They're
They're going
because
to bump
now
it up.
Dave
You know,
Dorn.
the way that things are going right now in the NCAA, it's unrestrict everything.
Well,
Yeah.
for how long though, DJ? Do you do it through
I
the
think it's going
term
to
of
be
the
permanently.
ordinance
Think about
or
it.
the
You know,
extra
it only
year?
went down to 85 in like 1990. Before that, it was at
Well,
95.
my question to you is, do you think, and I agree with you, I wouldn't be shocked. My thing is, do they say we're going to bump it up through the super senior classes, that 5-year window? Or are they going to say, no, we're just going to go to 105 from here on out?
So the super seniors was how many super seniors you had. It was unlimited. You could
Yeah.
have had 150 kids on your team on scholarship. You know, if you had to,
For
it was
sure, yeah. Super
unlimited.
senior kind of is a compartmentalized term.
Yeah, it was unlimited. The issue, like I'm saying, is it went from unlimited to 85. And I think there should have been a trickle down of maybe it went to 100 or 90 and then to 85. That's what I'm saying should have happened. But what's going to happen is this is my opinion, they're going to push the permanent number up.
Okay, that
The
was my
permanent number is going to go up from 85 to 90 or 95. And what some listeners may not understand, at one point it was unlimited. I mean, abuse leads to restriction.
The
Right?
Brad Bryant rule.
Yeah, at one point there was no limit on how many football scholarships you could have. And then they started limiting it until like 1989 or something, it was like 95 scholarships. It was, and then they took it down to 85. And so what I think is going to happen is just like 5 years ago, we added a 10th coach to the coaching staff.
Right.
The number of scholarships is going to go up. And the reason the number of scholarships is going to go up is so many high school prospects are going to complain about what's going on.
Oh yeah, they're pissed. They're pissed. I had to tell a kid today.
They're going to push it up permanently, and they're going to push it up.
I told a high school coach buddy of mine. He's like, "What's going on with this kid? Because I don't understand it." And he goes, "I've been doing this shit for 30 years. This guy's a FBS guy. Watched him, didn't disagree with him. Kid's got one FCS deal and he's got 2 D2 deals." And I said, "Well, he better jump on something. Okay, he better get something because I don't see it coming around." But I'm with you, DJ. I also think that they are going to move the goalpost. But the problem is it's being reactive instead of proactive. This shit should have been done way back when. And so now the kids that are in high school in this class and the 22 class are getting screwed because they're being reactive instead of proactive. This could have been solved when they came out with a rule that said we're going to award an extra year. That should have been, they waited to the last second to move the coach to give the schools, relief. Be proactive and do it on the front end. That could have been solved. That's not a hard thing to see. And that's where my frustration is be proactive, not reactive. But we'll move on that. But a little bit about, and I want the fans to understand this. While we're talking about there's only 20 schools, that you ought to look, you should look at the schools that signed more than 20. Okay. It's safe coaches that have their shit going on. Okay. Because here's the deal. If you're on the hot seat, guess what you're doing? You're going portal heavy. Okay.
Yeah.
If you're a new coach, like you look at a Billy, a Mario, those guys, you're a new coach. Why are you going to go out and try to sign it and stretch and sign a kid? I'm just going to take the ones I know, cherry pick the ones that are good. Then I'm going to hit the portal. I can save because, Jake, you know this. When you get a job, it's very difficult to put together a really good recruiting class that first year. And I think I listened to your show the other day. I think you were talking about Billy. Everybody needed to relax on Billy a little bit. Billy's going to go hit this portal.
Yeah.
And save his whole first class by getting dudes.
Well, yeah. Well, my biggest thing was now it's never been easier to flip a program, especially a brand name program, whether it's USC with Lincoln, whether it's Billy with Florida, because of the portal, because you're creating momentum and new energy. We're a what are you doing me tomorrow? Not even a what have you done for me lately society anyways. But again, you can supplement your roster. Experience is the greatest attribute you can have at the end of the day, because you can't simulate the game 100% in practice. You get as close as possible to be able to doing that, but you can't. These guys understand, especially the offensive linemen. I mean, you talk about the bell of the ball. Right now, the kid from Virginia in the portal, maybe the most important player in the portal, and everybody's talking about the quarterbacks. So if you're a person like a Brian Harsin at Auburn, well, Gus Malzahn left you nothing up front on the offensive line.
Ooh.
You came in late in the process with an early signing period. You got a couple offensive linemen, but you got to go to the portal because you got to fix it now. Because if I'm sitting here saying that I know it's easy for you to flip a program now compared to when guys had to come in and sit, or you had to hope for a grad transfer, which made the market smaller, this, that, or the other, then you know the fans are going to figure it out eventually, especially in the SEC. They're the smartest fans in the world. So when I look at it and being able to flip it, again, you are forced to do that now. You don't. If you're Billy Napier, you don't have a choice. I mean, if you're Brian Harsin, you don't have a choice. These guys are expected to come in with the way the salaries are now and win now and be able to get guys out of the portal. And I've always said, to me, it's like basketball. Look how many more transfers are playing in college basketball right now than true freshmen are outside of some of the one and done schools. It's nuts. That's what it's turning into.
Yep. So I keep posing this question until somebody's going to answer it for me. I still haven't got a good answer. I asked another buddy of ours that got DJ. I was on the phone with another one of my buddies that got a head job the other day. He couldn't answer it either. What happens when the portal players run out because there's no more high school players coming into college? And everybody's like, that's a good point. Yeah, I mean, if you're not signing any players, because once they transfer, they're stuck, right?
Right.
And that's another thing is like, so the next thing that's going to happen is there's going to be so many portal players taken. Okay. The next big stink's going to be when somebody, all right, I'm going to try to cut the player that I signed from the portal that can't go anywhere. There's going to be some people pissed off about that too. That's coming down the road next year. So just so everybody knows. But anyway, all right, so let's move on. I want to talk about this. This has been a hot topic, and I want to explain the rules to the fans so they understand this, because I think there's a lot of misinformation out there right now about the NIL and basically legally buying players. I can't think who it was. I need to look at my own Twitter. One of the Rivals recruiting guys, one of the big ones, I can't remember who it was, said, "I can't believe what's happening today. Colleges are buying players to go play at their place." I looked at him. I gave him one of the, like, cuz this has been going on for a minute. This ain't the first year.
Where have you been?
Yeah, this isn't the first time that's happened. And it's happened.
Did you see Jimbo's quote? Did you see Jimbo's
It's
quote?
great.
Yeah, he said the same thing. I think the SEC media days.
It goes. It's been going on forever. Now it's just legal.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Look, and here's the truth. And for fans that don't understand this, look, I'll just tell you, when you see, like, you don't get to the top of the recruiting rankings and get all these players. Like, I know who's for, like, in recruiting, I know who's for sale and who's not. So when the guy that I don't get the guy that I know is for sale that goes somewhere else, okay, he didn't go there out of the kindness of his heart.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. Second thing fans need to know, when you see a guy go, I can't believe they got that guy. Mm-hmm. When you have to say that, when you have to go, I can't believe they got that guy. Guess what happened? Yeah, the Benjamins came a flying. Somebody got paid. Okay. And here's the thing. I want to make sure people know this too. A lot of times coaches don't know about it. I mean, you got rogue boosters out there and everything else running. So here's the problem, right? So NIL now, and I tell people, I still stand by this. If you get busted for cheating right now, for paying players, you should be fired. Yeah. Okay. Because that means you're not organized. Okay. It's a lack of organization. Okay. And it's just stupidity because it's legal. Okay. So here's the deal. The NIL, the way it states, and I want to make sure all the fans know this because there's a lot of misinformation about this. And you saw yesterday a lot of coaches pissed off about it. Okay. Schools, if I'm recruiting, so Jake's a recruit. Okay. He's from Auburn High School. Okay. Did you go to Auburn or Opelika?
Yeah, Opelika, man.
Oh, I just did you dirty like that, right?
No,
all right. So he went to Opelika. He's a Bulldog. Okay.
It's all good.
All right. So I'm recruiting Jake. I can't say, hey, Jake, legally, I cannot say, hey, Jake, you come here to Ole Miss. I'm going to say I was at Ole Miss. You come here to Ole Miss and look, we're going to get you $100,000 a year in NIL money. That's illegal. Okay. What you can say has Jake, what position you want to play, Jake? You want to play safety?
Yeah, I want to play safety, coach.
All right. So what you can say is like, hey, look, here is my safety. Okay. And this is what he made. This is what we got our guys. This is what our guys made last year. You can present that to them, but you cannot say that we're going to get you that amount of money. Okay. So here's the point that I find funny is a lot of coaches are bitching about other schools saying, basically doing the other way, which I know has happened, by the way. Okay. I know it has happened. I know it's going on. but I want to just smack everybody upside the head and go, hey, assholes, y'all know that for the last 20 years, recruits have been getting paid under the table for 20 years.
Mhm.
For 20 years. You don't think somebody's going to say, they're going to go just that far to say, hey, I know somebody can get you a legal NIL deal? Hell yeah, they're all doing it. Every one of them's doing it. So you better be careful about throwing stones saying, hey, they're cheating in NIL, because somebody on your staff has probably said, has probably broken that rule.
Sure.
And so,
No,
what are we doing?
I always laugh when people are like, yeah, but you guys buy recruits. I'm like, wait, who do you root for? Wait. Yeah, y'all definitely do it too.
Yeah,
Listen, it's
I
like
mean, look.
they always say, look, everybody thinks they're clean. Everybody thinks they do it the right way. But again, and there's no guardrails in this thing. So if you're going to like step over the line, now's the time to do it. Like, I don't think there's going to be any penalties for anything. Even if, I mean, Texas is literally, at this point, they can go in there and say it however they want, but they got Kelvin Banks for a reason, and they're flouting it. But right now, with no guardrails, I'm going to go in guns a-blazing, and I would always say with players, I'd rather have to say whoa than go. Some of these administrations, as a coach, you'd rather have to say whoa than go. So
Yeah,
I mean, I find it fascinating.
About this. I think you talked about on your show at one point in time, or talked about the situation. But hell, we talked about on the podcast last week. Hell, look what happened to Auburn in basketball. They had an FBI investigation, and he got a 2-game suspension. Okay, sign me up for that shit. I'll go out, and if that's the penalty that you're getting for cheating, let's go get them all.
Yeah, well, I was laughing when people were like, Auburn got Cam Newton for $180,000, and I was like, and it was a damn good deal, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, the price for admission has gone up, by the way. So, I mean, I don't know. It is. I mean, it is what it is. All right, so that's why coaches are pissed off, because you do probably have some head coaches that are trying to do things the right way, and do it, but they're going to be the only ones doing it. It's like this. It's like, they were driving the getaway car and they're starting to point fingers, right? I mean, it's things are happening, right? But let's talk about the one that got everybody that's getting all the NIL talk started. Travis Hunter going to Jackson State. Okay, so he's the number one player in America. Okay, baller, by the way, awesome, really good player from up in your neck of the woods. Okay, in Atlanta. So he was committed to Florida State for a long time. I actually was at Georgia when I went to visit Matt and go to a ball game when he was there on an official visit. So I know we went on a Georgia official visit, but he goes to Jackson State. Okay. And there's a lot of people that are pissed off, and they're saying like, oh, they negotiated a deal. So what? So what? You slept on the wheel. You could have done the same thing. That's what I'm saying. And now look, we can say, well, he didn't go for money. Whatever, bullshit. Okay. Whatever. Y'all can sell me that on a different day. Okay. At some point in time, he's getting an NIL deal. Okay. Whether it was however they want to say it was negotiated, y'all ain't selling me on that shit. All right. But good for them. I'm not talking about good for Jackson State for stepping up. Okay. Good for Deion using his connections. Everybody else is getting pissed off because they slept on the wheel. Okay. You had the same opportunity. So I want everybody to tell me this. If somebody at Florida State, one company came that was representing Florida State, came up and offered him $1 million, y'all don't think he would have signed with Florida State yesterday?
No.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, what do we do? What are we even arguing about?
Yeah.
What's the conversation? But I don't know. But there was
I'll let you handle that one, because if you think there wasn't any NIL involved in this money, then there's some beachfront property in Missouri that I could get you for the low, like the lowest of the low.
Low.
And I talked about yesterday on the show. If you're mad at Deion and you're a Florida State fan, here's what I don't understand. And the irony is delicious, because at the end of the day, Deion ended up intercepting his alma mater, which is a cruel twist of fate. But Deion did his job. Like what is his job as a head coach? To get the best players at Jackson State and to win, and he did it in a way that was totally legal. Like I don't understand. Back to what you're saying, it'd be one thing if it was something unbelievably nefarious that everybody knew about, but the man just did. If he did flip to Georgia, nobody'd be outraged. They'd be like, Kirby Smart, what an incredible job doing what you're supposed to do. That's right, Kirby Smart, do what you're supposed to do. But since it's Jackson State, and it's really just the FSU fans, it's amazing. They can't get by Jackson State in recruiting or Jacksonville State on the field. I don't know what they did to the Jacksons, but it's not good.
So I'm going to, I may say something right here. I'm going to, it is, we're taping this at night. We usually tape in the morning, Jake. So we're in here drinking coffee. We may or may not have some beverages flowing, and DJ's probably over there trying to be quiet because he's been drinking bourbon all afternoon. So let's see.
Yeah, and I coached at Florida State a long time, so I want people killing me on Twitter, man.
Well, how about this? Let me tell. Can I tell a little? I'm going to tell a little story of how things are about to go. Okay, I was, once upon a time, I was on a little staff in Oxford, Mississippi, like in 2012 and 13, and we kind of shocked the world, and we got some players we wasn't supposed to get. And you know what happened when we got some players? The Blue Bloods got pissed off. Okay, and all of a sudden we had accusations, and they don't like that. They'll move the goalpost.
Who did y'all beat 2 times, Siskey? What was that team?
I never beat them. I was I have like the worst record.
I remember.
They beat Alabama 2 years after I left. They beat them 2 years in a row. But I was so we lost to them when I was at Ole Miss, and I got to Alabama, and then they beat our ass 1 year. So I don't have a good record in that rivalry on either side. But my point is this: is when you start in recruiting, now they've pissed them off. Okay, so I'm just letting everybody know. Okay, you watch. There's going to be the goalposts are going to get moved one way or another because they're going to be like, wait a minute now, we can't have this happening. We can't have our Blue Bloods starting to lose their players, to people they're not supposed to. I done been a part of that one time. Okay. And it was hell. The school went on probation, man. I mean, that's when it all started because everybody was pissed off. Okay. I don't know if I've even told the story on here or not. And if I have, I apologize. But when I was, when the whole thing, when we got the infamous tweet went out by Hugh, right? We had Laramie Tunsil. We hid Laramie Tunsil out, or I did, and Chris and Hugh got him to basically, he was hiding in plain sight. He just didn't go to school that day. He was in a park across the street, left his phone at home. But we got turned in by a school that was recruiting him that came to show up that was the Friday before signing day. So they came in there to show up to go recruit him, and he wasn't there, okay, because he had committed to us the night before. Okay, so you're less than a week from signing day, and he was with his girlfriend in the park, literally across the street from his house. Okay, and they didn't. He left his phone at home, and they got pissed off. They turned us in to the SEC and the NCAA because they said we bought him a trip to the Super Bowl weekend was in New Orleans that weekend, and so they said that we used our New Orleans connections at Ole Miss to get him a Super Bowl tickets and send him to the Super Bowl. So that's how all that started. Okay, and then Hugh got pissed off that people were turning us in over absurd stuff, and that's when the tweet went out. So I'm just telling you, when you start getting guys that you're not supposed to get, right, wrong, or indifferent, the goalposts are going. I mean, shit's fixing to start flying now. Okay, so
I was at Florida State that year, and I personally was recruiting Robert Kindici, and I know who was recruiting Laramie Tunsil too, and he was right down the road from us. I mean, he was from Lake City.
He's pretty good player.
Miles, he was 100 miles down the road, and that did not go over well.
No, SEAL Team 6 went in there though.
That did not go over well.
We had Jimbo, SEAL Team 6.
By the way,
we literally had SEAL Team 6 roll up in all black. That's what we rolled in there all black. We were SEAL Team 6 in that week. That was a good week. This is one of the best weeks of recruiting. I know. I'm sure. Look, DJ's gonna try to say you've been drinking too much bourbon. Don't be saying that.
I know. That's why I'm trying to be quiet, man. I'm being quiet as a mouse over here.
Try not to get anybody thrown in jail after this episode.
I do know that you guys signed Robert's brother though too.
Yeah, that's
he
right.
He was on the team, right?
He was.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only reason we got him was just family connections and a good solid feeling of we want you to be a rebel.
I think it was the Bible study too that did it.
It was. It was. So Clemson was pissed too. So everybody got pissed.
Well, you want to hear something funny about the Clemson situation? Is they signed, because he was committed to Clemson. Robert Kindici was committed to Clemson forever.
He was,
and they signed a running back out of Grayson High School that was kind of like a. Hey, we're going to take one from your school and try to make sure that, you stay with us.
Try to pull the calf and the cow move.
And that guy ended up being a baller. It was Wayne Gallman.
Yeah, he's a stud. Still playing, right?
Man.
It's funny how it works out like that.
Yeah, because we tripped them both too. When I was at Florida State, we tripped Robert Kindici and Wayne Gallman.
All right, I got to tell you a funny story about
Wayne was maybe getting recruited more because of what team he was on, and he ended up being a baller, man.
Funny story about Wayne Gallman. So Robert shows up the first time that I saw him face to face. All right. And he's got his posse with him, right? And we, how it is. I mean, we're focused on Robert. We don't even know who the rest of them. Dude, we just treated him like a joke. We didn't even know who he was because they were like, oh yeah, he's just going to be a guy. He's not really a. And then so Clemson offered him. We started to panic. Do we need to offer him? We never did because we had the brother. But like that kid got the whole process. He goes through the whole process with a calf and a cow. Nobody really paid him any attention. He ends up being he's had a more successful NFL career than Robert Condici.
For sure.
Yeah.
Fun fact.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's good. All right. The last thing I want to talk about in recruiting before we get on to some fun stuff. All right. Is I can't say this is the other thing that drives me nuts about recruiting. If the fans everybody talks about recruits getting flipped. Okay. Like this guy gets flipped from here. Okay. All right. Let's go news here. If the other staff did not go see him during contact period and the head coach didn't, even though he was committed, if they didn't go see him and the head coach didn't go to his house on a home visit, guess what? They were dropping him. Okay. And then it's not a flip. Okay. So let's get that straight. And if he was committed to like the last staff that just got fired, okay, don't consider that a flip because that just means the new coach didn't want him.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So, the flipping stuff is getting a little over dramatized, I guess. So be easy on calling what's a flip and what's not. All right, Jake, I'm going to leave this one to you because I know this is, and then me and DJ will get into this one. Is the coaching carousel over?
No, I don't think it is. I mean, obviously, Urban Meyer got let go last night. I mean, if we're talking about just college, I don't think it's going to be nearly as active as it was. But I would not be surprised if I'm thinking maybe a Ryan Day move to the NFL possibility, opening up Ohio State.
Even though he denied it that much, you think he's?
Well, I mean, yeah, but come on. I mean, I'd have to watch the video. I go off feel on that. Like I could watch Sumlin's and be like, yeah, he ain't going nowhere. You could watch Jimbo and kind of have an idea. Then you watch James Franklin, who ended up staying. I was like, I don't know. Then Lincoln Riley, was like, listen, I'm not going to be LSU's next head coach. He wasn't lying either, at the end of the day. So, no, I don't think it's done. But it's not going to be. I don't think you're going to have any more Mount Rushmore college to college moves. It would be college to the NFL. Right now, it's really more about coordinators. I mean, you look at LSU looking for an OC and a DC, A&M looking for a DC, Auburn, Austin Davis looking like the guy at OC. So I don't think it's over, but it's waning. It's slowing down, in my opinion.
DJ, is the coaching carousel over?
There's always an NFL. There's always an NFL move too.
All right, I'm gonna go. Can I go Captain Hot Take?
What's Captain Hot Take?
I'm gonna go Captain Hot Take on you. I think we have a coach get fired after a bowl game this year.
That's a possibility too, because there's a lot of 6-6 teams in the bowl games.
Yeah, it's happened, and it's happened like every year, but now, nobody.
Are you saying Power 5, or are you saying
Power 5?
Power
5. Yeah, I think you're going to have a 6-6 team or a 7-5 team that's going to get embarrassed in a bowl game, and I mean that's what happened to Joe Moorhead. He got fired after a bowl game.
How's Neil at West Virginia?
I like Neil. Like I think he's good. I think
Neil. I hope he's in good shape. He's a good guy.
Yeah, he's in good shape. I think
out of the NFF thing in Vegas.
I think he is. He'll get it. He's a good football coach, man. I don't give.
I'm trying to think who it would be.
Oh, I'm not going to say it because I got some buddies that are on staff, but I know a couple. I think they feel like they're in trouble if they don't win.
And I agree with them. I know you want to tell me either
I'll tell you off there. I don't want to see. This is where I'm different. See, I'm trying. You'll go ahead. You'll go out.
I wouldn't ask you.
You would on your show, but I'm saying like on my show, I can't do it. But anyway, I think it's what happened to Joe Moorhead. That's when at Mississippi State. I think you're going to see some guys. I think they got to be careful. I think there's some bowl games that could go bad, and then obviously the NFL stuff. So I don't think it's over either. So, all right, we're going to move on before we get to our talk about the bowl games. This Urban Meyer deal. Okay. Go ahead, Jake. I know you, I caught the first part of your show today before I got busy in some paperwork, but go ahead and cut loose on Urban Meyer, and then we'll polish it up and be nice to the coaches of America.
Yeah, well, the first thing I say is, man, damn, dog. Really, that's, the first thing that comes to mind. You're like, wow, translate that. The on-the-field stuff really wasn't hurting you that bad. If you look, I mean, Jimmy went 1-15 his first year at the Cowboys, and Jerry kept the belief in him. And I mean, Urban's, I legitimately think if there was no or even a little bit less off the field stuff, they would have given Urban 2 to 3 years. And I would love to have actually seen how it would have looked in year 3 or year 4. I
agree with you completely.
But at the end of the day, man, I think I've got a theory on this, and I know Siskey, I think you'll agree with this. DJ, you may not. When you're not able to control every variable, and I'm just talking about everything, right? Saban was 500 after 2 seasons, but he's not able to control everything like he is at Bama. You can't go about it the exact same way. Spurrier, to me, guy that wanted to control everything, just didn't work out. In the NFL, you are an authority figure, but you're not the authority figure. Urban Meyer, if he'd have got caught at a bar or something in Gainesville, Florida, when they were balling at Florida, that video would have never made it out. If that video would have been in Knicks, that video would have never made it out. But in the NFL, not only can you not talk to everybody how you want, not only can you not control everything until you're a Bill Parcells or a Bill Belichick where you've earned the right to, because Urban Meyer's won a lot in college. They don't give a shit about that in the NFL. They could care less about that. It's a very different game on the field. It's also a very different game on the field. Some of those players are making more than you. So when you walk up in there like you're the big dog, and it's not like you were 10-2. If you're 10-2, it's a different story. They'll hide as much as they gotta hide because the money's coming in. But you can't go in there and act like you're dealing with an 18 to 22-year-old. An 18 to 22-year-old most of the time is not going to fight Urban Meyer if he rips them, calls them whatever. They're going to be like, wow, that's Urban Meyer. He's got all these guys paid. He really does care about me. You go say that to a 6-time Pro Bowler, they're going to whoop your ass. Like, you get the Shannon Sharp said it best. If you'd have got the right guy on the wrong day, you'd have got beat up. Like, you just can't go about it that way, and you can't be a dumbass off the field, man. Like, but the one that gets me, this is the one that really gets me. I think the worst move he made was the Tebow move. I thought that was the worst move that he made, because in that league, in that locker room, there are guys, and you know this, that are fighting for spots that can athletically do it, that just don't make it because there's not enough spots. And you're going to let Tim Tebow, the same guy who could hit a curveball about as good as the guy off Major League, they let him play in the Major Leagues, and then you bring him on an NFL roster, and you're going to put him at tight end after, 8 years? This ain't Big Brother, man. Like, this is the NFL. You got fired at 1 in the morning. You know how bad it is to have to get... Think about that. If you've ever been fired from anything, you were probably fired on a Friday at 8:30 in the morning. You can go home, call your parents, cry to them, whatever. You got fired at 1 in the morning. That means they caught you with weed in your dorm, dog. They caught you stealing, like embezzling, to get fired at 1 in the morning. Like, in the NFL to get fired at 1 in the morning? Come on, man. Like, just damn, dog. That's the worst part. Like, I'm not even mad at Urban. It's like when your parents are like, I'd rather my parents be mad at me than disappointed in me. I'm just disappointed.
You went there.
I'm just disappointed.
You went there. You went disappointed. All right, DJ, you want to follow that up?
I don't even know how you follow that up. Although I will say I agree with Jay that it wasn't the on the field. I mean, everybody knew that Jacksonville was a struggle. I think that nobody expected them to come out and be gangbusters this year. It was about rallying the guys. It was about optimism. It was about showing that there was a future for the players and the fans. And that didn't happen, And I don't know if it's because Urban's never coached a team like that. If you think about that, how many 2-win seasons has he ever coached? I mean,
not that I know of.
You know what I mean? So I don't know if he knew how to handle that. And I've known
if he
coaches.
had, it's been a while.
Yeah, and I've known coaches and you guys have known coaches too that do not take losing well at all, right? Yeah. And some that just do not take it well, right? And just they're mad at everything about it. And that's what you saw with Urban. What you need in a rebuild. You know what I
You know-
mean? You need a guy that's going to show you optimism. That guy is going to come in there and make everybody think that there's a future, not a guy that is going around telling everybody they suck 24/7. That's what everybody outside the building is telling them. You don't need somebody inside the building telling them they suck. You need, you know what I mean?
What it reminds me of? You know what it reminds me of? The part on Old School when Will Ferrell had went out there as the mascot, got caught on fire, and they're in the locker room, and he's like,
Yes.
He's all
Everybody needs to keep their composure.
Like throws the chair.
Keep your composure.
Like,
Exactly.
How are you sitting around the coaching staff table asking guys to read their resumes when you hired them?
Hey, yeah. So when I saw that quote, and I tried to visualize myself in a staff meeting when something like that come up, and I would be like,
I don't care who it was.
yeah. But here's the thing, too. This is the point. This is the good stuff for the fans to know right here. What was he, 2-10? Was that his record?
Mm-hmm.
If they
It's
were
2
10-2, if they were 10-2, it'd be crickets right now.
No, for sure.
There wouldn't have been, the first video wouldn't have came out. No reports have been coming out. None of that would came out. Because let me tell the fans something that coaches know. There are some bad human beings. Okay. I'm talking about like asshole, bad people, like bad humans that have these fans fooled about how nice of a person they are. Okay. And while they're winning, everything is snow clouds, bunny rabbits, and My Little Ponies. Okay. But the second they start to lose, okay, or the second something starts going downhill, all these articles and reports and things start getting thrown out there. Okay. They're getting planted in the media because the other person's trying to get the hell out of the contract. Okay. All right. So every time this happens, okay, that's what I mean. There's some bad people out there that if things start going south, holy shit, y'all better buckle up because I mean, I could write a book. Okay, there's some bad people that have done some bad things that are coaching ball right now that are winning games and nobody's saying shit because they're winning. But once they start to lose, woo, it's going to get ugly.
Well, you know, Coach K, his philosophy is if things are going good, be hard on them. If things are going bad, back off them. And I think that's based on what we're seeing right here. If things are going bad, the last thing you need is somebody that's being negative, that's leading the team inside the building. You know what I mean? If things are going good, yeah, you may need to keep guys on edge. You know, you may need to keep guys hungry. But if things are going bad, you don't make it worse.
Yeah, I've talked about it 100 times. Nick Saban, after a loss, the best person ever. He's the happiest. Like it's a great week, man. But if you're playing like Tennessee, Chattanooga, or somebody like that, you just better just come in there with your freaking.
Yeah, well, I almost wonder with
shell on.
Saban now, like at this point, if he just wants to feel something again. Like whenever they lose, it's the only time he like can feel something. It's like it's like on the show. I about had a heart attack. I was laughing so hard because we had a person in our group chat who's an Ohio State fan during Ohio State Michigan week, and he's like, "Man, to be honest with you, I almost kind of hope Michigan wins just so we can feel something again." Like I just wonder. It's like the Soviet Union. It's like I just want to feel something again.
Yeah, no, he's good. He's the best after a loss now. I mean, he really is, and I mean, there's a reason he's doing what he's doing. So, at that time, you know what time it is, DJ?
It's pick time.
We're going to talk about some games and some bowls, and we're going to go up through. We picked last week up through the 22nd. So this is so just so the fans listening know, this will be the episode for basically before Christmas, and we're going to take a break, and we're going to come back on the first week of January because we're going to go enjoy our family because we can. All right. So the first one I want to talk about, Auburn and Houston. Okay, Auburn is -3. Okay, in the what is it called now? I need to get. We had a good fun
It's
thing
I
last
think
week.
this year it's the whogivesaShit.org bowl.
It is technically it is called the Ticket Smarter
Birmingham Bowl.
Ticket Smarter Birmingham Bowl.
All right,
You know what this bowl's playing like? It's like if I was sitting on my couch over there and somebody just rang my doorbell and I went over and opened the door and somebody just kicked me in the nuts and ran away. That's what this bowl game is.
All right, I have to come clean here. I've coached in this game before. Okay, it was the BBVA Compass Bowl. Okay,
all right, I remember.
Bank account.
Yeah, so this was our first year at Ole Miss. We played Pitt, Aaron Donald in Pitt, and we were running tempo, and we were running tempo. DJ, they did not change their defensive linemen the entire game. They played the same. They were 4 down. They played the same 4D linemen the entire game. And we went sideline to sideline, tempo, 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 tempo. And then in the second half, we just started running downhill at them. And even Aaron Donald could even survive. Fatigue makes cowards of us all. Aaron Donald could even survive. He was done. But, and also fun known fact for the fans, my kids have been to all these bowl games, right? To this day, if you go ask my children which one is their favorite bowl game they've ever been to, they're going to tell you the Birmingham Bowl.
Wow.
To this day. And I'm like, what? Like,
well,
you
know the difference.
Find like the brick to go to Diagon Alley or something? Or?
I'm like, what are we?
I mean, but did they bring you in a week ahead? Because to me, the lower the bowl game, I went shorter amount of days we were there.
We were there, I don't know, 4 or 5 days, I think.
Yeah, we played in the Camellia Bowl in flourishing Montgomery, Alabama. That was an experience.
Was against Bowling Green,
going
right?
to Paris. I mean, those are 2 of the highlights I think of my life.
There you go. All right, so we got Auburn and Houston. Auburn -3. Jake, who you got, man? What are you rolling right here, man?
Well, I'd like to take the under, but if we're gonna go straight spread, I'd go.
Yeah, we're not doing any of these second quarter spread shit. We're gonna go. We're gonna pick the games.
I'll take Auburn. Depend if it's under 60 degrees, -1 in the first quarter. No, I'll take Houston +3. I think Houston's gonna be a lot more fired up to play in this game than Auburn is. Jacoby's not playing. Roger McCreary's not playing. Tank, I guess, is gonna play. Bo Nix transferred. I don't see Auburn getting super duper excited to play in this one.
And it's in Birmingham.
Yeah, and it's in Birmingham. Cool, guys. Let's get on the plane. Now get off the plane and get in the bus.
I'm kind of I'll go next. I don't know if you're picking this game or not. I bet you are. He's a closet Cougar fan. So, but I have become a closet.
I'm a
Cougar
U of H
fan.
grad. I got my master's there.
I guess you got to be a fan, right?
Yeah.
But I am also
a fan. He's got a master's there.
He's got a master's.
Come on, man.
What am I talking?
I mean, I'm
wearing Houston colors, man.
That's right.
It's true.
Yeah.
You got the Riddler suit on.
Yeah, that's right. You're a Colorado State fan with all you're wearing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Hey, I'm a North Pole fan.
That's the Riddler suit during Christmas, dog.
So I am Doug Belk, which I've said the whole time. A big fan of Doug Belk. He's one of my favorite people I've ever worked with. He's an awesome human being, defensive coordinator at Houston. Got him a nice little raise. They bumped him up to $1 million. So he got the bump. He was all juiced up. I'm taking Houston +3 on this as well. I think I'm a big believer on these bowl games. People that are motivated to play. I'm not sold on Finley at Auburn at all.
Me either.
And Doug's a good defensive coordinator, and I don't think they're going to be able to do some things in the passing game that's going to take to beat Houston like Cincinnati did. I think Cincinnati, and look, Houston's good up front now. Auburn's coming off; they need help up front anyway. Houston's very good up front. I love Houston +3 in this game. So go ahead, DJ.
I'm right in line with you guys. You pointed out my loyalties already, but Houston's playing great defense. They're top 10 defense. The only team that's given them any trouble since the first week is last time against Cincinnati. Besides that, I mean, they've played great. No Bo Nix, no Mike Bobo. I mean, they don't even have an offensive coordinator there. They're working off an interim offensive coordinator. I'm taking the Cougs, man.
Who's calling plays, Jake?
I think Harsin is.
Yeah. So I didn't know if it was going to be him or Eric, but yeah, still taking Houston. All right, we're going to jump because we're going to come back to the semifinal games last. We're going to jump Oklahoma State and Notre Dame. Notre Dame is -2. All right, Jake, who you got? Oklahoma State, Notre Dame, or you want me to start it off? Let you think.
No, I'll start it off. Notre Dame. I like Notre Dame -2. I think they're going to be fired up with Marcus Freeman. Them against the world. They're going to be told their coach left to go to a prettier girl. Nothing's more embarrassing than getting embarrassed in front of your friends on the football field or getting your girl stolen. They feel like their girl was stolen, but then they found the love of their life. They probably had the best workouts they've ever had in Notre Dame. I look at Oklahoma State, the Sanders kid. The only reason they lost to Baylor is because he turned it over. I mean, they threw 4 interceptions. The Chapin kid from Baylor did a good job coming in. I think Notre Dame has enough. I love the Kyron kid at running back. And then Mayer, I don't know how him or Brock Bowers weren't in the Mackey Award finalists. Somebody please, explain it to me like I'm 5. That's my long way of saying Notre Dame -2. Not by a lot, though. I think it's going to be low scoring. Jack Cohn shows no emotion, but I think Notre Dame -2.
I'm going to go with Oklahoma State +2 because the running back opted out, right? Running back
Did
and the
he?
linebacker.
Did
Yeah,
he?
I think the running back and the linebacker, the top, I think they're out.
I still like Notre Dame -2.
Okay. All right.
I
I'm
think
going
Marcus will
Oklahoma.
go play if he has to.
I'm going with the 14-year seniors and Oklahoma State. I'm going on defense. I love what they're doing on defense, man. I just I don't know. I like them. I think they kind of got they beat themselves in the Big 12 championship game, and I think the being in this bowl game is going to kind of give them validity on the season. You know, I think they got something to prove. I like Oklahoma State +2. May take them outright too.
I
I
got a
like that.
question for you. Is Jim Knowles coaching in the bowl game? Their
You
defensive
tell me.
coordinator? Because
That's
you
your
know he
boys.
just
You
took the
tell
Ohio
me.
State DC job.
You,
So that might be an issue there.
they can coach
I
themselves.
wouldn't think
They've
so
been
if they
going
win
in
the
the system
playoff
for
game.
15 years.
What's that?
They've been in the system for 15 years. They can coach themselves.
They could, but hey, don't. I'm a former defensive coordinator, man. Don't estimate game time decisions, brother. I'm telling you right now. There's some in that. I'm taking Notre Dame. I've seen Oklahoma State live this year.
Killing me.
I've watched a bunch of their games. I'm a fan of Oklahoma State, but they're struggling on offense. Jay pointed it out. Sanders. They almost lost the OU game because of his turnovers, and they were dominating that game. You know what I'm saying? And then there were 14 points scored off of 2 of his interceptions against Baylor, and Baylor only scored 21 points in that game. I don't think they have it on offense to beat Notre Dame. Notre Dame's fired up too. You watch their videos about Marcus Freeman being their coach. There's no deflation there. If anything, like you pointed out, there's inspiration. Those guys want to play. Oklahoma State, the difference in Oklahoma State and Notre Dame with what they got for this game is Notre Dame was counting on someone else to lose to get into the playoffs. Oklahoma State had their own chance. They had destiny on their sideline to go to the playoffs, and it didn't happen. To me, there's going to be a letdown.
How excited is Oklahoma State?
You ain't got to tell me. I've been
excited. Are you really? To me,
I do not disagree with what you're saying at all, because I've been on the bad side of that. When we lost a kick six game and couldn't go to the national championship game, we went to the Sugar Bowl and got our teeth kicked in by Oklahoma, and we were a 21-point better team than they were. But yeah, I don't disagree with that. I can't pick Notre Dame. Y'all know I didn't ever put them in my top 6 all year. It's a thing. I'm not picking Notre Dame. All right. Utah and Ohio State in the Rose Bowl. I love this one now. All right. Ohio State -6.5. Who you got, Jake?
Give me Ryan Day -6.5.
Okay.
CJ went up there. Aiden was talking. Desmond was talking. A lot of disrespect. Jim Harbaugh said Ryan Day was born on third and thought he hit a triple. I believe the wide receivers are playing in the game, right? Olave and the rest.
I'm taking. Well, go ahead. I don't know, but I'm going to wager at this earliest stage in the game that I don't know. Some agent's going to get in their ear between now and January.
So, all right, let me say this: if the receivers are playing, I like Ohio State -6.5. If not, because of when we're recording this, I like Utah +7 by the half. Don't play games. A push is a win.
All right, DJ. Or I guess I'll go. I'm taking Utah +6.5. I'm just going to gamble right now and just say somebody. They look at there. See, that's what happens when you put your phone on.
It's Ryan Day. He wants.
Yeah, it's Ryan Day pissed off.
Yes, he just heard it.
Yeah. I literally have Do Not Disturb on my phone. That's the best thing. Great job, Apple.
Yes.
So I got Utah +6.5. I'm going to say somebody does not play. Somebody on Ohio State. I think they're going to get to them and be like, "Hey, man, we're going to have an opt-out bonanza there." So I'm going Utah +6.5.
I'm taking Utah.
Okay.
And if you remember from the last show, what did I tell you about Utah? I said this team is for real. They started off slow.
Kick the teeth of Oregon, and they did.
I said they were going to kick the teeth of Oregon twice, and they did. And I'm telling you, they can play defense. They're rolling. They're under the radar. They're out there in the Pac-12 after dark. A lot of people haven't seen them play that much. I have. And I think they're going to be a team to reckon with, not only in this game, but into next season.
How much, all kidding aside, in this game, the curiosity I got is how much do y'all think, knowing when they turn on the tape, I'm talking about Ohio State, when they turn on the tape and they see how Utah dismantled. They
Oregon.
didn't beat them. They dismantled Oregon twice. That came into Columbus and dismantled you. Like, how much do you
Yes.
think that? I mean, you're talking about the minds of 18 and 22-year-old kids. You know, I'm with you on that one. So, all right, got three more go here. Pittsburgh, Michigan State. Okay, I want to talk about that one. Pittsburgh, Michigan State. Probably one of the better games of the matchups we've talked about that nobody's going to talk about. Walker out, opting out for Michigan State. I know you like to bet sharps. Right now it's at Michigan State -1.5. What do you think about that, Jake?
Well, number one, has Kenny Pickett said if he's playing or not yet?
Again, no, he has not yet. But
if Kenny Pickett plays, I will put the rent on Pitt straight up money line for this reason. Michigan State has one of the worst secondaries that I've seen, and it hasn't gotten better. They got torched like there was a village going to find a murderer back in medieval times by Ohio State. I mean, C.J. Stroud got on the Heisman floor the day after they played Michigan State because I think he threw 6 touchdowns in the first half. And if Kenny Pickett plays, Professor Fake Slide, Professor Time Out, Time In, if he plays, they're going to put on a fireworks display because he doesn't care. They're going to be launching it like they normally do, which is hilarious to watch a Pat Narduzzi coach team do that. But they'll put up 45, 52 points. And without the witch that Kenneth Walker is, I don't see how Michigan State they'll be able to score because Pitt's defense, busts more coverage than a bad Affleck agent, but they won't be able to score enough, that Pitt will be able to put on.
I'm also taking Pitt money line. I don't even need the points. Screw it. I'll give it up. Taking Pitt money line. But I tell you this, I think Pickett has to play. Do you know why I think he has to play? I think because if his
straight up.
Yeah, but here's why. Yeah, that's why he's got to play. But I think his agent is going to advise him to play because Matt Corral has already come out and said he's going to play, and those are the two guys are going to be deciding who's going to be the first quarterback taken in the draft around that 12-13 spot. It looks like right now if the season ended today. I think that his agent would be wise to advise him to play, so he doesn't lose any ground if he wants to be the first quarterback taken in the draft. So I think he will play. All right, DJ, who you got in that game?
I'm with you guys too, and I love how brave you guys are with the 1-point spread taking the mony line. I mean,
you like that?
Huge, man. Yes, I mean, you guys just threw that.
Still
an
underdog, DJ. Technically,
it counts, DJ.
You guys were both. I'm so confident. I'm taking the money line.
That's my super dog.
But I agree with you guys.
With their best player opting out today, that was
that was pretty easy. Yeah,
bold strategy.
I think Pitt's going to win this game, hands down. I like your philosophy on Pickett playing, man. That's got me even feeling stronger about that. I better hurry up and get the money in before the line moves. But
I know.
Anyway, I'm with you guys. Pitt all the way.
All right. We got a ton of Ole Miss fans listening. So we got Baylor and Ole Miss in the Sugar Bowl. Pick 'em. No one sitting out at Ole Miss, all playing.
Ole Miss is going to slaughter Baylor. Let me say this again so everybody can hear me. Ole Miss is going to slaughter Baylor, and guess what? It's Levy's last game as the OC. Lane doesn't care. It's Matt Corral's last game. They may try and score 300 points.
Baylor's good on defense now.
Look. Ole Miss is gonna murder them. I'm just telling you right now, they're gonna murder them.
Yeah, probably my easiest, the one I feel the most confident about from a betting standpoint. I love Ole Miss at a pick 'em right here. I'd probably take them at 10, 7 to 10, maybe even more. But look, I think that Ole Miss defense has been playing well. It's going to be the last show Corral's playing. I think he's got something to do. But I really like the fact that I just think they're going to outscore them. You know what I mean? I think they're going to be able to stop them on defense. I think it's a bad matchup for Baylor. I do think Dave Aranda is a freaking beast, but I just think it's going to be too much for them. I like Ole Miss straight up. Who you got there, DJ?
I'm surprised that it's a pick 'em. I'm taking Ole Miss too. I was hoping there'd be a spread, and unlike Jay, I would have taken Baylor. If you'd have gotten a 10-point spread like you talked about, I would have taken Baylor. But since it's a pick 'em, I'm going with Ole Miss. You got to remember this too: is Baylor is a ball control offense, okay, and they're going to run the football, and they run the ball very well. And Ole Miss struggles against teams that can run the ball very well on defense. Okay, now I do agree with you that up tempo attack with everybody healthy offense for Ole Miss is going to put Baylor in some tough positions, especially with Baylor's secondary. They're not great, but you got to think about the other side of the ball too. I think it's going to be closer than a slaughter, but I'm going with Ole Miss.
Well, the reason I think it's and by slaughter, I mean I think 24 more points, because I think Ole Miss is going to get up on Baylor and force Baylor to have to dribble with their left hand and think they can do it with the Shapen kid. And I think that's where you're going to see the pick six to go up 21, and then if Baylor's either going to try and run it out to keep it close, or try and turn it into something they're not. But to me, it's all about the start. I mean, it always typically is, but no, it's a fascinating matchup.
Yeah, and the other thing that I'm taking in my brain too is why I'm taking Ole Miss is they're going to be healthy. Okay, when Ole Miss was healthy, they were dangerous. And they
Yeah.
ended up. I think them getting back, getting healthy, and receiver especially, and Matt, with his feet being able to run a little bit with his feet. And then but the interesting thing to me now was Iowa State, runs the same defense as Ole Miss. There's not that many teams that run it. And they did put up 31 against Iowa State early in the year. So they're going to have a template of what to do. So
Mhm.
that will be interesting, but I just think Ole Miss is going to be healthy and go get them. All right, it's time for the semifinal games. We'll wrap this bad boy up. Okay, we'll start out because with Georgia and Michigan. Georgia -7.5 against Michigan. Jake, you and I have talked about this off the air. I don't know if you brought it up on there or not, but go ahead. What do you think about this one? I thought you had a great point in this one.
Well, look, I think the stat that you're going to look in at the end of this game, the team that wins this game will be the team that has the least pass attempts, in my opinion. I think that may be the biggest stat of the game. I think these teams, identity wise, are very similar in what they want to do. They don't want to put too much on the quarterback. They want to, 12 personnel, run, play action game, take your vertical shot off it, hit the tight end in the seam or on the crosser, get in the red zone. You know your matchups on the inside. Georgia does have Pickens coming back. But when I look at everything, Michigan's very strong in their front seven on defense. I do think Georgia will be able to run it good enough. I think the difference in this game, as crazy as it sounds, is going to be Stetson's legs. I think his ability to extend the play, I think his ability, whether it's on a boot, whether it's on a draw, whether it's making that one move and going 20 for the score, is going to be the difference. I like Georgia by 10 in this game. I just don't see a world in which Michigan can consistently do what they want to do, which is ground and pound, play action, like very similar to what Georgia does, and go 9, 10, 11, 12 play drives down the field and score. Against Georgia, to score and to beat them, to me, you've got to hit them like a cobra, not a python. You've got to quick strike them. You saw Alabama do it with Jamison Williams. You got to get chunks at a time. You can't nickel and dime them down the field. And then when you get into the red zone, geometry starts to get you in the back end where everybody says they're supposedly a little bit weak. Jamison Williams, to me, is a freak, and expose him a little bit, but he'll do that to a lot of people. So I think Georgia by 10. I don't think Michigan scores over 14 points.
Yeah, I'm taking Georgia in the point, 7.5. I think this line will probably move a little bit towards
It's
Georgia a little
already
bit.
moved.
Has it? What is it
Yeah,
at
it's
now?
8 now. It's
8?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, shit. Doesn't matter. I'll still take Georgia. I think, but I'm with you. I think it's a 10, 14-point game. I'm interested to see, does Michigan come out? And I will say this, and the people need to know this too. Gaddis knows this defense now. I mean, he went against it every day at Alabama. So it's not like he doesn't know what he's about to see schematic wise, and him and Mel Tucker are friends and all that stuff. So he knows the defense very well. He's gone against it at Michigan State. He's gone against it at Alabama every day. So he's going to know how to attack it. The question is, which I don't think he does, is can he do it? Can their quarterback throw the ball enough to get out and do something about it? I just don't. I don't see if McNamara can do that. I don't know if he can throw it. Haskins is a really good running back. Johnson Kidd can play. I just don't. I don't see them being able to throw the ball enough. I think Georgia leans on them, finds a way to score, and beat them by 14, maybe even 17 points at the end of the day, just because they're going to be able to shut down the run and force, which I thought they were going to do to Alabama, but it really didn't matter. But I think they're going to force Michigan in more third and long situations, and it's going to favor Georgia at the end of the day. Go ahead, DJ. What you got in this
I'm
one?
with you guys. I got Georgia. I got Georgia for different reasons. I got Georgia for motivation. I think the
Oh, they're
best
gonna be
thing that
pissed.
happened to Georgia was losing that Alabama game. I think that is going to propel them into the national championship and probably win the national championship. If they hadn't have lost that game, they would have lost one of these playoff games. But I think that that woke those guys up. I think that they're more talented than Michigan. I agree with you guys that they're very similar on both sides of the ball. I've watched both their defenses a bunch this year, and Michigan is the same style of defense as Georgia and Alabama now too, with their defensive coordinator they picked up from the Ravens. So it's going to be it's going to be a ground and pound game. But if you don't make the quarterback have to win the game, then you're going to be the team that wins the game. And I think that's what's going to Georgia. I think that they're going to get ahead, and now we're going to have to force McNamara to in space and throwing the football, and it's not going to happen.
Yep, I'm with you on that. All right, we're gonna wrap it up with this one. It's our favorite one. I had to save this one for last, Jake. Alabama and Cincinnati. Alabama is minus 13.5. Okay. Who you got before I go nuts?
To quote Voldemort, bring me the boy. I'm so glad we get this game now. I didn't want Cincinnati in, but after having to listen to everybody cry and complain about how Cincinnati will never be in, and then say that Cincinnati could beat Bama, and then now they get in, and now we get to see it. It's like on Borat when he's like, he used to dance in front of him and be like, "You'll never get this, you'll never get this," but one day Belo broke the cage and he get this. Like that's how excited I am about this game, to watch Alabama just absolutely methodically, mentally, emotionally, and physically destroy Cincinnati. And I don't say that out of hate or anger. I just say that out of I can't wait to see it. I just can't wait. So just from now on, whenever any of this stupid stuff gets brought up, we can just look back and say, do you remember the time when Alabama beat Cincinnati 63-17? Because you guys love a cool story. You want to know what else is a cool story? Hansel and Gretel. Little Red Riding Hood, James and the Giant Peach. All great stories. Not elite stories. Not elite, but great stories. So I've got Alabama by 13.5, 14.5, 15.5. Just give me Bama, because I need this to happen for everybody.
Hey, do you wake up in the middle of the night just thinking of the shit to say? Like you just wake up and you like come out of a dream and just
Coach,
crazy
you know
shit
that
to say?
you know me. No, it's a disorder.
No, here's the thing: is I want people to know this too. This is not a show. This is who you are, 24 hours a day. This is why I love you. You're great.
Just like I said, it's a disorder, man.
In the middle of a game, when it's nut cutting time, this is how you are.
Yeah.
It's who you are. I love it. All right, so I'm going, DJ. I'm gonna go ahead and go off. I can't help it. I've been waiting on this one too.
Okay. I'm not even going to have anything to say. You guys
Yeah.
got it covered. You're Hansel and Gretel and everything.
All right, let's do the serious. Let's do the serious side first, okay?
Okay.
Here from the coaching standpoint, and Jake, you and I talked about this off the air a couple weeks ago, I think, or last week, I don't remember, but shit's starting to run together. But here's a problem, right? Is you can't simulate at practice. Cincinnati has no people to simulate what's about to happen. The speed of the game, the physical ability. You can't line up and go, hey, you're going to be blocking Mr. Left Tackle. You're going to be blocking Will Anderson. Go get it. This is how it's going to look in one-on-one. It's totally different, okay? Two is this, okay? When Cincinnati went and played, everybody's hanging on this thing that Cincinnati played Georgia close last year, right? Georgia had 847 opt-outs, okay? And they didn't care about being there, okay? Alabama, this reminds me so much. Alabama played, I don't remember if it was Washington or Michigan State, a couple, 4 or 5 years ago in the playoff, and everybody kind of similar situation. Dude, you're getting Alabama focused, pissed off, and ready to play. You're getting the best, okay?
Yeah.
So this isn't going to be a sneak show game in the Sugar Bowl that they're not really wanting to be there, okay? This is for the show, so you're fixing to get their best. And if I have to hear Pro Football Focus talk about these guys one more time, I'm going to puke, okay? Like, I don't know who's grading the film. I really don't. Pro Football Focus, God dang, man, it just drives me nuts. Like, they're not even close. He hasn't had to cover Williams before. This guy's going to be – he's going to be gone. And Bryce Young is playing at a peak level right now. And I mean, and they're talking about all the junk and all that. I think this is going to be an abomination. I really do. I don't think this game's particularly close. I think they're going to get dominated on every side of the field. And here's the other thing: their best player, but everybody talks about Ritter. Their running back that they love so much, he transferred from Alabama because he couldn't even get on the scout team. The guy was like a 9th team running back. Your best player couldn't get on the field. That's why he's at your school. It's just different, man. And
it's one thing if you play Bumblebee Bama, you're getting Optimus Bama.
Correct. You're getting them at the peak.
It's one thing fighting the Joker. It's another fighting Thanos, and there's levels to it.
And people need to understand this too. Every single thing that Nick Saban does, all the rat poison, all the practices, and everything he does in recruiting and spring and summer training, everything is for this next 10 days. Okay? Everything. He mentally and physically prepares them for these next 10 games. This is what they're built for. Okay? It's called Built by Bama for a reason. Okay? This is what they're built for. All right. And you're not going to be able to walk in there and half-ass and do a, hey, here we are, a group of 5, and come in there and get away with it. Because it's not going to be, when Alabama plays Colorado State in the middle of Texas A&M and Ole Miss. This isn't going to be one of them kind of games. They're coming in ready to go. And 13.5 is kind of an insult. I think he'll use that to him. Like, you're only favored by 13.5 against a group of 5 school. Like, this is going to be nuts. So I can't wait for this one either. I will be dialed into this one. So who you got, DJ? Follow that up, DJ.
I don't even know if there's anything else to say. You know what I mean? I mean, obviously I'm taking Alabama and 13.5, but I mean, I think you guys have covered everything from, when you were 3, you used to like a tricycle, and now, you guys are grown adults and you drink beer. And I mean, I don't even know if half of it was even about the game, but anyway, I'm taking Alabama and 13.5.
When me and Jake get together, we digress. We digress and get into crazy shit. But yeah, my favorite part, I got to tell y'all, this will be real funny. So we're going on a little trip for the family trip. That's what we're taking a little. So my wife texts me this. This is how my wife has no idea. This is why we're the perfect match. She says, "What time on January 1st are the big games? If I book dinner, should I exclude you? Because we're on a trip. We're going to be out of town." And I said, Ole Miss plays at 7:45. I know the boys will want to watch it. She goes, "Okay, cool. So you're cool with a pirate dinner at 3 p.m.?" That's my life. That's where I'm at, DJ. I'm going to get to do a pirate dinner at 3 p.m. I'm eating dinner at 3 o'clock at a pirate dinner.
Yeah. You'll always remember
pregame.
You almost caught Captain Tyler Siskey.
Yeah. You're eating pregame meal. 4 hours before the game.
Jake, tell everybody where they can listen to you, because I know you're blowing up. Well, you got a whole new audience here. So tell everybody where they can find you.
Yeah, man. No, I appreciate you having me on, and DJ, great to talk to you as well. You can find us. We're live on the Volume YouTube channel. Really easy to find on YouTube. We go live every weekday, 2 to 3 Central. The audio's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, all that good stuff too. And check us out, man. If you like this, then you'll like that, I think.
Yeah, Jake always he says the stuff that I can't say sometimes. Like he'll go on hot takes that I can't say sometimes because I'll get in trouble. But I love the show. I listen to it as much as I can when I can. A lot of times I have it playing while I'm getting some work done, watching some film.
Well, I appreciate it, man. I'm digging your digs too, man.
Yeah, man, we're getting it rolling. But DJ, you got anything else to wish? I want to wish DJ and Jake, make sure I wish y'all Merry Christmas. I'm in the festive spirit, as you can see. Wish everybody a Merry Christmas. You got anything? Would you like to wish Merry Christmas to the fans, DJ?
I would. I'd like to wish. Look at me. I've been drinking late.
It's the bourbon, dude. It's the bourbon.
I would like to wish a Merry Christmas to all our fans. It's been a good run, man. Yeah. And I'm glad we could finish off with such a great host, Jake. I'm glad you joined us, man.
Oh man, well I appreciate it. I just really been dying to ask Siskey, what was it like to be a villain in Gotham City?
I mean, look, so I got the. I was telling right before you popped on. I was telling DJ. So this is how my mom and my wife work, right? So I got this shirt. This is like an ugly. We were going to some Christmas party. First of all, if anybody knows me, like, and then coaches in general, is you're not very like social outside of your circle, right?
For sure.
Because it's really when you're coaching, you hate going to a Christmas party or something with nobody you know. If they know who you are, they're going to come ask you 800,000 questions and all that stuff. So I'm not a very social
Socialite.
outside of my circle. Now, inside my circle, I can get with it. But outside of my circle, when I know there's not going to be any cell phone cameras or tweets going out, I can get with it a little bit. That's why we have a strict no cell phone policy when we go to Talladega.
Smart man.
Okay. So, but, so we're going to some party. And so I go and get the shirt. Okay. It's a t-shirt. It's an ugly Christmas sweater. Well, now my mom and my wife think that I love these things. And so I get one like every year now. And like, guys, I don't wear them. And so I decided to do it today.
Man.
A little Christmassy since it was our Christmas episode.
Mhm.
I haven't wore this. Fun fact, I have not wore this shirt since signing day. Wore it on signing day one year and we sucked. We didn't get who we wanted. And, but I wore it that day. So bring it back out, a little good vibes since it's right after signing day, bring it back out.
Give me a hard time.
But hey, make sure everybody subscribes, listens, home visit with Tyler Siskey. You can get us on MPW Digital or anywhere on our podcast. We're on YouTube, all that good stuff. Make sure you subscribe. Leave us a 3-star review. I bet you haven't heard that before, Jake. We say we like 3-star reviews. My wife gets pissed off at me. She says nobody's going to listen, but I like 3-star reviews because we like 3 stars. Okay. Everybody trolled me for all these years for signing 3 stars. So guess what? You can shove it. Give me my 3-star review and we're good to go. So
one ring to rule them all. And
yeah, you have to explain that. We're getting to a point now, like I told you, we're starting to get interest on advertising and marketing and all that stuff. And so I had to explain to them what the 3-star review means. And so they get it after they listen. So
yeah, for sure.
But it's
like,
you have
man,
to talk.
You guys are consistent as hell.
You're consistent. You consistently are a 3-star guy. Yeah, so it's great. So, but until next time, I want everybody to have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. We'll be back with you on Wednesday, January 5th, our episode after this one. So have a Happy New Year, Merry Christmas, and until next time, take care.